In this session, we are going to learn how to configure the gradebook in the course. It's best to configure the gradebook early on in the course as you're starting to build it. You can also configure it later in the semester and such, but it's not advisable because then the grades will not be calculated correctly for your students. So as you start the course, configure the gradebook first, even though you may not find it very relevant at this stage. So the gradebook is typically based off the course syllabus. So if we go here to the syllabus and download it and open it up and such, one of the sections in the syllabus is going to be the demonstration of learning. So you'll have most likely very similar to something like this, where you'll have major categories of activities or work that students have to do for you that count for a percentage of the course grade. For example, in this case, we have weekly quizzes, and the weekly quizzes are going to be 30%. Then we have 2 comprehensive exams, and they're going to be 20% each. Then we have an e-portfolio, which will be 5%, homework assignments 15%, and blogs 15%. All of those will add up to 100%. So at this stage, we need to basically tell the system or enter in the system those categories or those major areas for your course. Now to configure this in the course, we go back here to eLearning, and then we go to grades here on the left-hand side. So that's one option to get there. Or if you click on the gear icon, there is also the Gradebook Setup option in here as well. So we're going to go on the left because that's where most likely you'll find it the most common. You'll go on the left here on the grades, and notice you have an item here, or one of the tabs is Setup. So under Setup, notice right now it has the course code and then the course total, but there is nothing else for this course entered yet. At this stage, the next thing that we need to do is add a category. Now before we add a category, I'll just explain as to how it kind of works. So by default, the courses are configured to use the weighted mean of grades. What that means is you'll have various categories in the course. Quizzes would be one of those categories that I was covering earlier. The exams, it's another category and such. Now those quizzes would have, for example, 30% of the course grade, but exams could be 50% of the course grade. So there is a weight to each one of the categories, or a separate weight. So we need to add those categories here. Like we saw earlier here in the syllabus, we have quizzes, then they are 30%. Then we have exams, they are 20%. So we go under the category and we type in there quizzes. And then under aggregation, this is where a lot of individuals get confused. The typical setting for the category level will be simple weighted mean of grades. Not weighted mean of grades because we are not weighting the actual quizzes. We are not giving different weights to each quiz. They're pretty much all equal. We just want the system to simply calculate them and give us the mean of grades, or the average of those grades. So we have the category quizzes, simple weighted mean of grades, again not weighted but just simple weighted, and then we leave that alone. If you wanted to drop any of the quizzes, so let's say you'll have 10 quizzes in the course and you want to drop the lowest one, this is where you can specify in the system that you want to drop the lowest one or 2 or however many, and the system will figure out who got the lowest grade across all the quizzes and drop that particular grade. And then we go back down here and choose Save Changes. So right now at this stage we are simply entering the categories. So now we have the course here, we have the quizzes, and we have simple weighted mean of grades. Again, you would want to use simple weighted mean because this is where a lot of the faculty gets stuck and frustrated at the same time. The next thing we need to do is we need to enter the next category. So here in the syllabus under demonstration of learning, we had 2 comprehensive exams. So we'll call that exams, and we choose add category, simple weighted mean, leave everything else alone, press save changes. Next, if we look in the syllabus, we had here ePortfolio, it's 5%. Even though it's just one item, it's best in this case to create a new category for that single item. So we call it ePortfolio, simple, and then save changes. We go back to the syllabus, and then we have homework assignments. Those are 15%. Again, remember simple weighted mean of grades, save changes. And then notice we have a couple other things here as well, like the weekly technology blog and the PowerPoint presentation. For the sake of time, I'm going to just wrap those up into one and call it final projects. Or research projects might be a more common name. So add category. And in your case, you want to match it to the syllabus. You'd have that additional item. In my case, I'm just speeding up the video here so you get the idea. Then we click on simple weighted mean of grades again, and then press save changes. So now at this point, we just added all the categories based off our syllabus. But we have not assigned the weights yet. So we have quizzes. In quizzes, it was 30%. And then the exams were 20, the ePortfolio was 15, homework was 15, and such. So here, we just put 30 in there, not 0.30, but just 30. Here under exams, we said in the syllabus it was 20, so we put 20 in there. ePortfolio was 5%, we put 5. Homework assignments was 15, and then research projects would be 30 in this case. So you want these numbers to add up to 100. Then we press save changes. Now notice you have quizzes, simple weighted mean of grades. I'm emphasizing that because it's important, and this is again where many faculty get confused. And then you have exams, simple weighted mean of grades, and ePortfolio as well, homework assignments and such as well. Now, if you have cases, like for exams, where you'll have 3 or 4 exams, and one of the exams weighs more than the other exams in the course, that's when you can use weighted mean of grades. So you can change the calculation for that to not be simple weighted, but weighted mean of grades. That gives you an opportunity right below this category to say exam 1 it's 20%, exam 2 is 20%, and exam 3 is 60%. So there will be the activities will show up right below this under the category here when you have the exams created in the system. Now to change it to a different type of aggregation, if you had to do that, you'd need to go here under Edit for this specific category. So for example, Exams category. We click on Edit, choose Edit Settings, and then change the aggregation right here to weighted mean of grades. Now, once you have entered those percentages, of course, make sure that you save the changes in the course page. Since we are in the gradebook, just one other important thing here as well would be to look here under the Letters tab and make sure that the letters match with what you have in the syllabus. So for example, here, anything above 93%, it will be a letter A for both any of the activities in the course and for the course final grade as well. Anything between 90 and 93, it will be an A-. So you want to make sure that this scale here matches your syllabus. If you need to modify the scale here, make sure you're under the Letters tab and you click here on Edit or Edit Letter Grades or Grade Letters here, and you can override those defaults by using those percentages here. And then once you're done, simply press Save Changes. So this is how you set up the gradebook in the course. It's advisable that you do that in the beginning of the course as you're setting up the course and such. Now, to typically view the grades, you'd click on the View tab, and then you'll be able to see the grades for your students here. In this case, we do not really have any grades because we are simply starting with this course and nobody has submitted any assignments.